And every moment counts, baby, I don't wanna miss a thing. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, or hang out in hotel bars, driving somewhere in your car. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, under the stars. Let's make the most of this night. Come on, baby, take my hand. And we don't need to do the things we don't wanna do. Baby, while we're
Okay, I think I got it. Hey, welcome to Learning to Space Engineer with Space Engineers. I'm Dex. Let's tonight first off I'll apologize for missing last week. It was I couldn't be helped. I had a house full of Fraggles, let's just put it that way, and there was just going to be too much background noise to try to make something work, so I had to skip it. And so it was very weird over the past couple of weeks because like I had the week that I was off because of being out of town for work, and then coming back, and I did this, then missed a week, and then the Frostbite series I missed, and then picked back up last week. So hopefully we can get back on track from this week moving forward. So one of the things that I did in the off season, I fixed something that was a bit wrong. So you notice that before, if you can remember, or if you're watching on the YouTubes in the previous video, as soon as I got out of the ship, that the station that I was working on Mars was right out the door. Well, it's not now. Instead, I moved it via, secret admin methods. I moved it over here, and it's in the dark now. But the reason I moved it over here is that it was permanently in the dark, and I didn't know that until after I had finished this stream 2 weeks ago. And I was trying to get a shot of this thing, and I was just like, oh, just adjust the sunlight so that I can get a good screenshot for the video, and realized that there was no good shot. It was completely in the dark the entire time. So I moved it over here where it gets sunlight at least part of the time. Maybe not all of the time, but because we're in a crater. But basically fix the no light issue. One of the other things that I wanted to do, though, before we got too far along in things, was actually I didn't actually walk through here and see where I was at. Okay, that's that. It's been a while. Okay, nothing's really done with that, so we'll just go back to the ship. I should move the ship closer so that I'm not having to fly back and forth. Let's actually do that right now. Hopefully y'all had a doing that again. Hopefully you all have had a good week. 2 weeks actually in this case. It was daylight savings for some people in the US, which means that our schedules are gonna be all cattywampus for a while till we get used to it, and then we do it again in, I think it's like 8 months. It's a very bizarre thing. One of the discussion threads that was with some friends of mine in a group chat was about the fact this is like how dumb the whole like daylight savings thing is. And one of the things I commented on was the fact is that so there, I remember there was legislation, and it actually got passed in the Senate unanimously last year to from a federal level to change it to not being a thing anymore. And I was just like, cool, well, if it's unanimous in the Senate, it should pass the House, no problem. No, it stalled out in the House, so it never got passed, and it never got to the president's desk. And so, yeah, so I was assuming that got, it was my bad. I made a bad assumption and paid the price for it, you know, so, but I guess it's been proposed again, so hopefully that'll get through. States can still change it, and that's why there's certain states, and a lot of states have already switched over, so that's not a thing, but not this one, not yet. Very annoying. Okay, so this is moved over here. One of the things that I decided I was going to do with this stream, or today, was a bit of a, let's call it a showcase. It's something that I think I've done before, and I've thought about a few times. Which is and I'll exit out of this and I'll get into it. Is basically like showcasing some stuff that I do in the off time or that I have coming up, and it's something I was thinking about doing with at least this particular stream while it's happening. Let's the first thing I wanted to do is was actually, I was feeling a bit nostalgia today actually when I was reviewing through some stuff, and I remembered that I still had hopefully I didn't save it. Oh, I did save it. Crap. Anyway, so this is the oldest one. I accidentally hit save on it. I was trying not to. Actually, I could probably do it like this. Backups. Yeah, there we go. So here is, and that's why I did it, is because the backups were running when I was looking at it. This is the first Space Engineers save that I had. There was one save prior to that, which was literally me like starting up the game, not knowing what the hell was going on or what I was doing, and just failing miserably. So then I went to the YouTubes to figure out how all this worked, and then I started this save. Now this save is pretty far in, but if you notice, this is from May of 2020, and I started playing this game in March of 2020. So but the thing that I found was interesting is like just going to this old save, and you're looking at these ships that I built back then, which were just to me now are just way over engineered, way just kind of, you know, I thought at the time I was doing a really good job, and you know, it was one of those things at the time. It was just like, yeah, these are really smooth and you know, very contoured and stuff. And it's just like, no, they're not. This is, everything's just sticking out, hanging out everywhere. It's just kind of garbage. I just thought it was really funny, you know. But one of my favorite things to do is to go to, let's see if I can find it. Go into, or not. Maybe I gotta do it this way. There we go. Let's see, GPS. I think that's what's gonna get me there. Well, it's in this general direction. So when I first started playing, so I noticed this is a big, nice ice lake, and I built this like base. This is after essentially 3 months of learning how to play. I didn't even know about ice lakes until about month and a half into it. So we're just gonna speed up through here. I just thought you would find ice in the ground and that was it. And then the first one I actually came across was this one. So the other location was like the second one I found. This is the first one. And so I made my first ice station here. I even called it Ice Station. So, whoa. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we're gonna head out to, what the hell? Oh, it's my other finger is pushing down on it. So this was my first ever base. Oops. Oh, I died. That's okay. Got me to where I wanted to be. So this was the first base I ever built ever. Pack. Grab those tools. And it was, so when I first, I'm very nostalgic for this tree. So the first kind of real time playing this game, my escape pod landed here under this tree. In fact, I have another save of this game where I built a little statue and stuff like that. It was fun. In fact, actually, from this save, there's the hole where I did my initial kind of drilling to get stone and stuff like that. What was unique about this spot, though, was like, so it was like right here, and then over here in this general area was an iron boulder, and so I was using that to kind of basically make my first ship, as it were, or my first rover is what it was, and then to start working on this base. And this base is just so, and it's so janky, but this rover here was my first rover, my first kind of ship build. It was so funny because it was so iterative over, like, I changed the seat in the, so this was originally the escape pod. Through many iterations it turned into this. So like, I took the escape pod, I added wheels, and then I cut down that, and different parts, added different parts, and so that's why it's just so like, like, it makes no sense why this conveyor junction is here, because it doesn't allow for piping into here. There's this connector on top that kind of doesn't make any sense other than it makes it so that it connects to other things. It's just hodgepodge together. The battery location, I think this was the original battery that was on that escape pod. It just got changed over so many times. So it's just very funny. And then you just look at like those base, and it's just, it was, and you have to keep in mind this is also like, 3 years ago when many versions before, like we didn't have all of the armor blocks that we have available now. So this is very square, and it's just square, it's green. I made all of these platforms for all of these ships. That was the save actually I left off while I was working on a cargo. Basically this was going to be a cargo droid. This was my first attempt at a hydrogen based ship, and it was I had a horrible time with it. In fact, you can see the damage in the front because I had crashed it so many times because I couldn't figure out how to keep it running. Because you would look at something like this and it's just massive amounts of engines. I way over engined this. It's when I started doing engine calculations, because it was like, you shouldn't have to take this many engines to make something work, and because it doesn't. It's just way too much. And I had to do so many different things to account. Like I put these pistons in here so I could lift it up when I repair it, because I would crash it so often. And then I had like this one, which is my cargo hauler. I do like this one a little bit. I have actually rebuilt this a couple of times because it's not screwing around. It's got 4 small grid large cargo containers and 2 mediums in the back. It's got engines for days. In fact, actually there's one engine missing because I had 5 and 5, and it's just too much draw on the batteries with everything. So I took one out, and I would think I was about to take out the other one too. Just 2 engines to keep it powered on top of like 4 batteries. It was just intense. 3, just a lot of thrust into that thing. And then so that base was one of my first attempts at drilling. My first real plunge drill was right here, which I use actually. You can kind of see the hole right there. And then I started a new one over here just to get material. That's all that it really was, is just getting material, because I didn't understand material management or management at all. Then I have this one over here, so this is the crane assembly. This is the drill crane assembly I've used for a really long time. One of the reasons being is because with a 2-piston up and then it's a 4-piston down right off the bat, you can do that, and it's on a rotor, so you can drill basically 270, almost, not a full 360, but you can drill a pretty significant amount of space around it. So it got the job done pretty well. Then the second drill thing platform that I made is over here. And it's just why I say nostalgia is because I look at this and it's just like, you could tell I had a lot to learn. I always put in these remote control boxes because I thought you had to have them in association with this antenna, and you don't. You can run an antenna and still connect to these things just fine and work with them remotely, because all I want to do is be able to sit at the main base over there and look at the status and maybe even do control different aspects of how this is running. And then my third attempt was over here, and this is my cobalt mining facility. This is where I got a little bit smarter about things, and I kept the the drill mechanism's really low. They're actually down. You'd get down in here, and that's where all the drilling is. And where I started going, oh, you know what? I don't have to like plunge drill. I can just put the drill down here and extend it out that way and drill material. So, you know, learnings. So, just moment to moment, you know, and it's this, so the reason I was showing this is a theme that I'm going to talk about a lot today, since this is like learning SE, is to talking about iteration. So as you can see, I made like a little hab area, and it's a much more kind of, you know, conducive area. It looks a little more planned out, you know. You got a nice area and stuff like that, which, considering, you know, like I said, this is third iteration from the original, you know, base, you know, on the original drill. Now, to be fair, like the original drill, the second drill I did, which is that mag one over there, was more, I think, pretty successful. But I learned by the third one, it's like I didn't need to, you know, get so much excess material. I could focus on the material at hand. But this was like my first drill, and then like, oh, I don't want to keep drilling deeper and deeper, so I started another one next to it, you know, and just getting stone so that I could get all the material I need to build all the ships, and then just slapping a lot of hardware to a rig to kind of get something done. So this is where I laugh, because, you know, I have another friend who, you know, started playing Space Engineers, and when they first started, like, their initial rigs were very much in this kind of vein where it's just like, I'm just gonna toss a lot of stuff at it, like tons of engines, tons of motors, just build the crap out of it, you know. And it's just like, and it just made me laugh. So because of, like, you know, and there's the slow us down. Oops, let's put you on the ground. Even though we're in creative mode, it'll still work. You know, the hydrogen still work when you're in creative mode. It'll just keep warning you all the time. So, like I said, the theme, the reason why I'm showing you this is, one is for nostalgia purposes, but two is to kind of capitalize on a theme that I think is important, which is iteration. The idea being, you have to kind of build things quite a few times before where you determine, and this works in life too, is that you have to build things, you know, sometimes a few times before you start to kind of get a feel for, like, how it's, you know, how to do it, and how to do it efficiently, how to do it well. So like I was saying earlier, that second drill rig that I made, I mimicked it here to a certain extent, you know, and that because it's really a carbon copy and just changed around a couple of the other elements. I put up a projector and projected the other drill rig, that yellow drill rig, and recreated this one. And then I added, because I wanted to have the hab on the hill, so I added this like stairway, and, you know, and having it connect to the base. Probably not the most efficient manner of doing things, but, you know, it worked for what I was trying to get done with it. Then I go over to here, and the whole point of like this base is that I wanted to go to the moon, so I wanted to be a little bit closer to the moon. I could see the moon. So I built this other base over here. And so the goal of this original save was, I was going to build this blueprint that I got off the workshop, which is someone's version of the Millennium Falcon, and you can see I was at the point of the save. I was like just barely into it, and one of the things that I knew I needed a lot of was cobalt, because this uses heavy blocks versus standard armor blocks. But then, you know, I built my first mobile drilling platform and had all the trials and tribulations and problems with it. In fact, actually, this doesn't work very well, and it was having problems, and that I couldn't figure out. It was clanging really bad, and I couldn't figure out. So I was actually in the process of building a new one to kind of replace it, you know. And then I had these. This was my like original miner, like way overbuilt. And then this was my go to space vehicle, which is like a butt ton of Atmos, way overbuilt Atmos, and then hydrogen on top of it. This is also where I learned you cannot, you know. So this was supposed to be a miner that a rover miner that I realized that I didn't understand how drills work very well, so I started drilling, and it just basically dug itself down into a hole. And I was like, well, I guess that's not gonna work. But yeah, and you know, so this is my first tower, and this one worked out well. This is my first attempts at an elevator. That was one of the reasons why this is like it is, but it's just like, you know, just you have to go up. This is what's ridiculous. You have to go upstairs to get to the elevator to go the rest of the way up, because I didn't account for the distance of the pistons. So some crazy stuff. So anyway, so that's this. The mic. So whenever you see other things and you go, well, I've seen what his first iterations, his first saves look like, and so I don't have to feel so bad. That. So yeah, there's that. We'll exit. No save. So now, before we get back to the one that we were working on, I want to show you what it looks like when you advance your play by 3 years or so. Actually, it being March, it would be 2023. It would be 3 years. So it's kind of where we're at. This is like the 3-year anniversary of me playing this game. If it loads, it's always when someone's watching. Alright, so then we get into where we're at now. So you can see that it's a couple extra blocks like these catwalks weren't around when the original save was, but the rest of these blocks were for the most part. So now, to be fair, this is a little bit of a cheat, because so this is my medical building that I started out in. This is actually I copied from the Frostbite, which is the series that I'll be streaming tomorrow and posting a day later to YouTube. This is a copy of the medical building there, repainted and repaired and revamped. So not a whole lot of change there. This is the factory of that same thing. But significant amount of improvements, and this is capitalizing on the kind of new blocks that we have, but also capitalizing on just some design aesthetics. So like using the what is called the retro future armor on white gets you this really metallic looking piping, and using that, and it just looks fantastic. You know, these things that you learn. Now this isn't necessarily pretty, but this is my very common replacement to that cargo ship we saw earlier. This has 4 large, small grid, large cargo containers, much like the other one did, minus the 2 mediums. But it's all hydrogen based, but significantly less. And the difference with this thing as compared to that thing, this is something that you can project and weld together by hand without having to use any other things real easy. It also is easily repairable. You can actually repair it from the ground. This is, so it's not designed to do combat because it's a cargo ship, but it's one of those things where the design is based off of, I want to be able to fix it really easy. I want to print it real easy. I want to be able to get it up and running in short periods of time. Something very basic. Now, this building I built completely, a bit inspired by this, but completely myself. And this has my loading dock area, which I can use a little rover to unload stuff and bring it into the main area here. And this is a workshop, so I have open space. I've got the piston out of the way, a lot of iteration and design aesthetics. We're adding some more colorful blocks in, and we're adding some changes in direction and stuff like that to kind of, and windows for lighting and everything, to kind of, so we're expanding on that and making things better. Automatic doors, and what you'll see in the background, I'm going to walk through this factory. So like I said, this is the Frostbite factory, but kind of reimagined. So there's now hangar doors here and here, and we talked about this. I added like a large cargo here. There's I added a door there so I can keep this gate closed. I finished out this area, which is all broken in the original kind of Frostbite factory. Did a lot of changes in this area too. Added some cargo access. Roof continued that piping thing with the cylindrical block. I forget what they call it. It's actually a cylindrical column to replace the half welded wheel to try to get that same look. Little hydrogen maintenance here. So I mean the offices stayed the same other than I just like changed the colorization. I added like the security desk as opposed to just a window block there. This all pretty much the same, but I added in these clear displays with like my components and my ingots and stuff like that. And this is the computer controls the doors and stuff like that. So all in all, I mean, not too much change here, but just kind of finishing things out now, making everything like cleaner. The refinery area now has like stuff that makes sense. Like now we have our speed modules in here. We have a control unit. We have a power display so we can tell when if we're running the speed modules and we're starting to run low on batteries, we can know to shut them down. We have like little break area here, with a dispenser, and then you can walk over to this other side. You have this kind of like workers lounge area here. You can look out the window, and then up here at the control room we have our inventory control board so that we can control our inventory, access and stuff like that, and one of the things that I haven't done in the series, but I'm going to get to eventually, is putting in a large cargo container inside here. So, and then again changing out that piping with that very silvery piping So it actually does something as opposed to just being decorative. It feeds out to the actual tanks that are doing something. Working out to these large hydrogen or O2H2 gens arrays, controllable by control panels, and our oxygen tanks, stuff like that. And we can take the stairs up back to our platform up here. So what you'll see is this is what I'm currently working on right now, which is this is a new mobile spaceport, and this is how, at least when so this is in survival. Now normally when I design large stuff, I do it in creative mode, but one is because I was doing all this stuff in survival and having fun. This is where I talk about, like, so Space Engineers was originally a replacement for my Minecraft addiction, let's just say. It was what I did to relax. It's what I do first thing in the morning for, you know, instead of reading the news, which is horrendous, or, you know, first thing in the morning, or doing anything like that, I tweak on this for like a half hour or so, or an hour, depending on how much time, how early I get up. And then to kind of relax at night, I tweak on these kind of things, you know, before I go to bed. So only like an hour or two. And it's to help me kind of relax. You notice there's no combat going on. There's no kind of arduous stuff going on. It's just me. And what I'm doing is I'm designing this. So now none of this is going to be final product. What you see here is iteration. So the original concept, when you're trying to design large things, one of the things that helps is you got to know what its purpose is. And the purpose is you'll see this over here. This is part of my series of very small, large grid ships. I call it the Parvis series. They're all named Parvis, and then they have different things for their different purposes. This is a drill ship, which this is getting, this is actually, and these are being iterated on too. Like, this is not the final product. This is actually just here for a sizing demo. They are actually changing the drill arrangement around so that it's a little bit more functional. This is a little harder to work with the way that it is right now. But the idea being is that I needed a base. I needed, originally it started out, I was going to build a larger ship that could carry that smaller ship up into space and act as kind of a launch platform for that, or a hauler to take it to other places. So what I wanted was I needed a space that I could pull that into and park. So I built the one bay, and without all of this, so I just built the frame, and then I was just like, okay, well, I need, you know, that's great, but I need some more to it. And then I was like, oh, I could build one on the other side, and that would be, you know, so I could carry two of the different things. And then I was like, ooh, this would look good in a thing. And then it turned itself into being a station. And what I'm doing here is I skinned it, but I'm probably not going to keep the skin. What I've tried in the past is the aspect of ribbing, where you use like a larger size next to the smaller size, and you get this kind of you fake a texture to it and stuff like that. And I've done it in the past on space stations that I've built, and it's okay, but it looks weird. And you see it in a lot of designs. You see it actually in opening scenes. You see there where they use that kind of like changing of size here to create a texture, to create a little bit more of a what we call greebling to it. And I was like, it's so cheap and cheesy. Smooth might be boring, but let's start with smooth and then let's iterate on it instead. Much like in these hangar bays, you notice there's smooth walls. In here, it's just like we're gonna iterate on these, and you know, I'm gonna change around where these hydrogen tanks are, and you know how their arrangement. They're all here preliminary, to kind of get a feel for stuff, and to kind of, so a lot of what I'll do is take something and then I modify it over and over again until I get something I'm happy with, much like this. I am super happy with the way that this looks and the way that this operates. And I operate it in survival mode because I want to see how it actually functions. It's a combination of function and fashion. I love how this looks. I love how it operates. But I'm not quite done with it yet. And so once I'm done with it, I'll post it and make sure that all the notes are in there. This is originally from Frostbite and stuff like that, but reimagined. So like this section here is good, but it's boring. You know, you got flat walls here to windows. It doesn't, you know, so that will probably get changed around a bit. This one I'm actually pretty happy with. I'm very much on the edge of being able to post this. I like the little like patio area in the sun, you know. There's certain little details that make aesthetics that make me happy, like these windows are asymmetrical, but there's asymmetry in a lot of different areas, so it's combining things in and out in a very nice way. I've added like the solar panel so it's power sustainable, you know. And that's the other thing too, is that I'm not just balancing the look, I'm balancing the operation. Like this, it originally started out with, you know, in Frostbite it has the one solar panel. I tried it with more, but this is what I realized very quickly is like, yeah, that charges up the batteries, but it doesn't need that much charging because it doesn't really do anything 99% of the time. So if I go to the batteries here, like, so I might add one back in because it's midday and the batteries are still depleting. I might look into, I think it's probably this it's doing it. Let's see. Maybe it's the med bay. That's only drawing 2. Anyway, so I don't really do a whole lot of like, you know, it's probably those right there. There's 200 kilowatts right there. And what's the draw? Current output 1 kilowatt. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's the vents running. So you know, so this isn't fully balanced yet. I'll probably have to add because I want to, when it's daylight out, I want it to fully, I want it to be in a charge mode because it's going to be in a deplete mode at night. So need to balance the power on this, and you know, this is not done in the slightest. I added in these wind turbines, but I'm not completely happy yet with what's going on here. I like the look, but I don't like the function quite yet. So I may or may not be changing this out. I haven't decided yet. But it's iteration, and I work on these things while I work on this thing, because I don't ever like sitting and laying out like these blocks is boring. You know, you'll get us like, okay, I want to see how this looks, and you'll start doing it, and you'll spend like a half hour or something like that, and you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And like I said, I do everything in short bursts anyway, so I work in very, very small areas. So I'll work on just this wall, and doing this in survival is part of the reason why. And so I only work on, say, this wall for like a half hour or something like that, and then I'll get it to a certain point, and then I'll move on to something else. Or like I said, because I do these in small little bits, you know, and like, oh, I'll, you know, one day I'll weld up just this, you know, and but if I'm I also do things sometimes in large scale. So that's where this is at right now. So eventually these may end up on the workshop, but they've got to bake a little bit longer, you know. Now stuff that is on the workshop. See if I can load this up. I think it's in here. Where is it? Yeah, there. So, speaking of iteration, sometimes you get a good idea and you'll be like, you get done with it, you're super happy with it. But, you know, much like how artists feel about their art, what's great about the game is like, you don't ever have to be done with something. So I call them the Dragon series. They're the space carrier that I built. And if you've been watching from outer space, you've seen these. You've seen one of these. And I said they're available on the workshop now. And essentially, they're different iterations. I mean, they're similar but not the same. This was the first one. It was hydrogen based. It was built in creative mode, and it was built, you know, down on a planet and then launched into space to basically do its space trials, as it were. This takes a lot of work. This took, you know, like a few weeks, months to kind of get right. And there was a lot of iteration that went on that. So then that got done, and it's like, good, great, satisfied, happy. And then it was just like, well, this is only, you know, a space-based kind of ship, so I don't necessarily need hydrogen, which is, you know, very expensive to try to keep it supplied. So I switched it over to using ion thrusters. So this is where you get the version 2. I believe this is, and I changed the names depending on. So the first one was the Dragon's Tooth. This next one I think is Dragon's Eye or Dragon's Tail. Yeah, this is Dragon's Eye. So the next one was a Dragon's Tooth, Dragon's Eye, which is very much the same. Like, really the only thing that changed out was just the type of engines that was being used. There wasn't really, maybe a couple of fixes or something like that, but for the most part it changed. Then the new Warfare, I think it was actually the Warfare 2 update came out, and it was like, well, this only has like the missile and Gatling turrets, and I want the new weapons. So we go back to the board and we draw up the new version. I can't even go to that gun anymore. So we change out the guns that we use in it. And so, yeah, this is the Claw. And the Claw is basically where we changed out some of the guns to use the new guns that we have available to us in the Warfare 2. I also changed out the ion thrusters to use the new style ion thrusters that became available in that version as well. So, and notice that I changed some of the coloring so I can keep track of them too. So the original one was blue and then red and then purple because it was the combination of the two. And then this one, which really got interesting, this is Dragon's Tail. So this is the heavily modded one, switching out from ion to the laser modular thrusters. Switching back to the red, just because I needed a color choice and I wasn't going to go green, so, which is basically an iteration of this one, but instead of using ions, I used the modular thrusters. And there were a couple of improvements that made it to this. Well, one of the things that came in Warfare 2 was that we got the railgun. So you didn't have railguns on the original 2. And then I added a railgun in here. Well, this is like, well, if I can have one, I can have two, you know, give it a little bit more meat. So now this thing has 2 railguns off the front. This is very much like the higher end of the iterations, but this doesn't mean that I'm done with it. I may, depending on what comes out of the next, not the next one, because I'm pretty sure the next one is just going to be more focused on like the AI stuff, unless they do come out with some new blocks. But we'll see more of this ship. We're gonna see some of this in action in some of my future filmings stuff. Right now it's just been a set piece that was used in stuff. These are, so one of the things that from the outside, this is always kills me, is from the outside, it doesn't look as big as that, as you have the medical area here. Let's start from the top down. I've done a walkthrough video for this before, but I'll do one again just for those that are curious. Start up here on the bridge. I like how this bridge worked out. I very much was channeling the Star Wars Star Destroyer kind of thing. So where you have the officers kind of promenade on the top, you can look down upon the people that were actually, you know, doing the work, flying the ship, what have you, down below, and still can read the displays and stuff like that. So I like it. I really like this. I really like this style of bridge. It's really fun. Is actually, you get this thing going at, you know, in a direction, and then you can, even by yourself piloting, you get it going in a direction, then you can just jump out of the seat and you just walk around, and you can stand up here and you can look at it as it flies through space. You can walk around. It's one of the things that I love about Space Engineers is that it's one of the few games that you can actively walk around the ship while it's in motion, while it's operating. You can put it in a direction. You can put it on a remote. I can put it, this has a remote control block on it. I can actually set coordinates on this thing and have it, and it will fly. It'll start flying there, and then I can go do other things. I can go down to the hangar bay and I can build on a ship, you know, and with you know, collision avoidance on, I have a really good chance that it's not going to run into anything while I'm doing stuff. So coming down the tower, you have a door to go out the back, door to go out the front, so you can walk around and do repairs on the upper deck if you need to. Windows are showing. I run a projector with these to basically so that they can auto heal, along with nanobots. So this is the officer deck. So you have the officer conference room and then like little coffee area. You have the executor in the XO's bedroom office area. You know, and he's the XO, so he gets windows. Then you have the officers' quarters, which house 2 officers, and then you have another set over here and the CO. So berthing for 6 on this level, and then like I said, the med bay, the cafeteria area, and then you go down, and then this is the computer control deck. Which is just basically a bunch of timer blocks. And then you have the main, this is very reminiscent of very kind of aircraft carrier, hangar bay-esque kind of thing. Airtight, you have blast doors that separate the sections in case there's a fire in this section. You can close it off so it doesn't expand out to the other areas. And you can tell this is a really long ship. It is really long. There's times when I've come out of this thing and it's just like, I don't want to have to, like, it's so funny that you have to jetpack inside a ship. And I've had to do it where it's just like, okay, I've come out this door and I need to go to engineering. So I just jetpack my way through the ship, inside the ship because it's so big. And then you have the engineering out. So like, this would be the Dragon's Tail ship. And what's a little bit different about this one is it's actually finished up. So added in these doors, you have this would be the flight crew's berthing in here, which has got beds for 4. And then you can go over to this area over here, and this is the flight control ready room, which is, you know, a thing, especially if you ever spent time on an aircraft carrier. Up forward is also where the gyro room is. So you can go back through here and through this door, and here's the bank of, you know, many gyros you need. In fact, actually, I probably need even more with the size of this ship, but it's enough. It's very hard to steer. Access to be able to fix things. This is so long it takes 2 grav gens to cover it all. I know that there's bigger out there, but just the fact that I had to have 2 grav gens just to be able to have gravity the whole front to back on this. So then we get down to here, and this is our repair bay, so we can take our fighter craft and what have you, and we can bring it down here, compare them. We've got a projector here so we can project to build a new one. Excuse me. Then we have the crew quarters. Basically in this quarters they get like a little nice break area, a little weight room, a little Pac-Man action. This does, all of these are kind of heavily modded. There's at least 4 mods that are running on these things. One being the Star Wars mod, so you get the Star Wars doors and the Star Wars lighting. You get the armored conveyors, which help in the air tightness. This is the Explorer pod room, so you can launch Explorer pods, which is one that I used in an old series from a long time ago that I someday will edit down and get posted. But yeah, you have this crew quarters here. Like I said, the Star Wars one, the heavy armor one, the Nanobot one, and the shields one. Also there's a decorative block one that's in here, and so yeah, there's quite a few. And because the ship is so big and so heavy, there's large reactors, 2 large reactors on either side. There are 6, 3 aside jump drives to be able to get this thing to jump. To get it to jump just about anywhere, you need 3. So there's, you know, 1 all the way back here, 1 in the middle, and 1 up front. There's 4 large cargos, 2 on each side. And I cut down, so there's no large hydrogen. In the other one I had 4 large hydrogen tanks. I think I only have 2 in this one, if I have any. Yeah, I just have the 2 on either side, and that's just strictly for refueling ships because this is using modular thrusters. The backup powered engines, hydrogen engines, to kind of generate power in case there's a reactor problem. There's also some solar panels up there, so the goal being is that I have a way that if I run out of uranium, I can still power the ship. So yeah, but you can see, to give scale, this is like one of my kind of fairly standard small ships. I could park like 4 of these just in this one bay, and there's 3 bays. Like, I have this marked out, so you have parking for 2 here, 2 here. You can put stuff here, you can park stuff here. I can probably put about, depending on how I park them, and to be, you know, because you still got to be able to get them out through the gates, probably park about 10, 15, you know, maybe even get up at close to 20 depending on the size, you know. So if you build like a set of small fighters, you can park an entire squadron, which is around 20 aircraft in on this ship. It's it very much fulfills like the role that I had. But the reason why I'm building that other station is that this is the problem that these have, which is the doors are only basically a 3x4 block opening, which is great for the small ships. But if there's anything that's bigger than that, so like those Parvis ones would not fit in here because they need an opening that's at least minimally 4x6. Preferably 4x7. So that's why the gates on that platform is designed around that, you know, those Parvis ships being able to dock into that. So the hangar bay door is a 4x7 opening to allow for them to kind of make it through. Now, if you're wondering what it takes to make one of these, I will show you. So, you know, here's an underside shot, but what we want is down here, and the best way to kind of get there is to go into the list, and we want I believe it's this one. Yes. So this is when I first built the very first Dragon. This is the framework of how I did it. So in creative mode, what I did was I figured out the length that I wanted. And what I did was I did a run, starting with like a series of blocks here up, lifting up the ground, so I had some ground clearance to work. And I figured out how long I wanted it, which was about 120 meters. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to have it kind of pinch up. So what I did was I was counting it out, and I used the framing section method that they use in like big ships. So these are 10. This is 20, 20, 20, and then 10. And then I would periodically scale it, you know, basically in a pinching thing. So starts out flat here, which is the main, then it pinches here, and then by a block, pinches here by a block, and then pinches here by a block. And then what I did was I took those frames and then figured out how to kind of bring them down in together. So then I started a framework, and then what I do is, like what I'm doing with the other one, is I just start filling it in. So I filled it in the best that I could, and then would just fix the little idiosyncrasies, like so how this joint's going to work as I bring it out, and how that joint's going to work as I bring it out. And then once I get all that squared away and I get the main, then I start working the internals, you know, engines, power, and then work the tower and stuff like that, and then just keep working it over and over and over in small little sections. So when you, for me, like I said, I've said constantly, this is like everybody's got to figure out their own rhythm, their own way, their own design style. I'm just showing you how I put stuff together, and what it is like, particularly with and I think I've talked about this before in videos, with large grids, I basically figure out how it's going to look, and then I put the hardware into it, at least with like larger ships like this, versus because the space is there. I'm gonna be able to get a refinery in here somewhere. I'm gonna get thrusters, I'm gonna get tanks, I'm gonna get cargo. I'll find a space in it. There's tons of space in here, tons of space, so that's not a problem. I'll be able to figure out all the other stuff. It's making it look right that is the hard part. And one of the things that you also notice is that this is very long, but it's not very wide, and that is a hard thing. What we saw with the first initial ships that I did, even though they were small grid, but this happens with large grid too, is that they are going to look boxy, and they're going to look very kind of good, because the natural tendency when I first started out, and I see this with a lot of other people too, is that we have a tendency to negate the length a bit. We'll think that we'll do 20 or 30 blocks in one direction and go, oh, that's really, really long. Well, in comparison to the scale of what you're building and how wide it is, like, I have a general rule of nothing less than a 1-to-3 ratio. In other words, so if I have this, if this is 40 blocks wide, I have to be at least 120 blocks long. So 1-to-3, preferably 1-to-4, but 1-to-3 is a minimum. So for every 1 block wide, I have to be 3 blocks long. And once you kind of frame this out, and then you start to kind of fill everything in, you can cut things down and move it around and stuff like that. The frame that I was showing earlier in the other save was not on that same ratio. It's a little smaller than that, but not by much. It's really close to the 1-to-3. All right, so enough of this new. So getting back to what we were working on. So that'll give you some insight of where I come from. This is a good, 3-year anniversary episode, which I'll kind of consider it. I don't remember exactly what day I first installed Space Engineers and stuff, but I know it was in March, and I know it was in 2020. It was around this time, to be honest. It was because it was right before the start of COVID. So, and it was March of 2020 where it really kind of kicked in. All right, so I don't want that. Batteries are a little hurting on this thing. So one of the things that's great about this display is, oh, you know what the other thing is like, I did not pick a mod to add this week. Let's sit back down and let's go back. Yeah, sure, we can save. That's the other thing, mods. So I think I skipped one last week, which means that I can do 2 this week, which is cool. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of excitement to this. So first thing that we're going to add, which you knew was coming eventually, is modular encounters. So I gotta find it. Where is it? There it is. Modular encounter systems. This is a key made by Orvius, I think is but this is the kind of key mod for all real combat spawner. Like, there's a lot of other mods that use that as its basis that they build off of. And then I'm gonna add the MES wreckage one because I don't want to be throwing my bunch of combat stuff yet because I don't have. Well, actually no. It's what's a calm one? One of the ACS ones. Yeah, I can add assertive as it's either that or corruption, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm trying to remember which one's more aggressive. I think corruption, because I do remember the corrupt actually has like the one that has like the ship buster in it. So we'll add a little bit of combat. We're on the moon, so this might get a little bit interesting because what I found with ACS is that it will spawn a lot at you on moons. Planet side not so much because of the gravity, but because the fact is that there is a very little gravity, they can come in at you with, you know, ion thrusters. So as soon as this loads in, well, and because we added a combat mod, we're gonna have to make sure. Now we have guns on this. So we have the 2 Gatlings on the back, and there's guns on the underside, but they're not gonna be able to do much unless I take off. So if I see something coming in, it'll probably be good to get this launched. But what I want to do is, before I even finish this, I'm going to actually build out some defense locations to kind of help keep this sucker alive. And one of these, I don't know if I've put it on the workshop yet, but I will eventually, is my remote platform defense turrets. So let's grab about let's make it 120. I think it's a little more once I get it built. Where are all my parts? Probably have to like build a bunch of parts yet. Oh yeah, I'm hurting on things and stuff. So 25 of those and 30 of those. If you can't tell, I'm building a battery. I'm gonna need more battery parts. Glorious. What's my material look like? I'm gonna need more iron. I got nickel and silicon. It's good. Cobalt is good, but the iron's a little bit on the. Oh yeah. And magnesium. I'm definitely gonna need more of that. Do need to actually finish this out so I can start getting that uranium, and so I can start transferring that stuff over now because I think I got all that piped. And while that stuff's getting made, let's get load over, because I think one of the plans I had was I was going to use this just kind of as a cargo hauler. We're going to start with this uranium here. Ooh. What I do need to do also is I do need to mine a little bit of iron. There's a little bit of iron in this already, so okay, so I do have iron in here, so let's take this with us. I think I was eventually, my plan was to start moving production over here, but I really, with adding combat mods to this, I need to really kind of get that part going first. So what I really need is to get some magnesium, because I do not have a whole lot, and I don't have squat for ammo. So definitely when you add in the combat mods, your focus can get changed. So I got all that. Okay, so I got a little bit of ammo, but not a whole lot. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do for these fence locations is we're going to probably set one up here. And how I do these normally, set a block, let's see, then I set a battery. It's been a little bit since I've done these. And the reason I set a block at, oh damn it, I'm still in creative mode. So let's take those out. So actually, so if I was to select something else and go back to battery, it will not auto correct to the gravitational line. So the reason why I set a block is that because it'll make it so it's flat and square. Then I will set a battery where I can actually turn so that the control panel is facing up so I can see it. And then what I'm doing with this is I'm going to actually put in a projector. Then I'm going to make sure that's facing that way. And I can take this block out. And I'm going to start welding up this. I'm going to add this to the build planner. And then I'm just going to keep grabbing power cells while I'm working on other things. I can't remember if my original intention was to have that. I think that's the side that the projector is supposed to be on, but we'll see. Keep forgetting that I have this also set into the default inventory, which means it's one of the changes I should just add. It's one of those things I do defaultly now, which is I increase slightly. I don't go crazy, but find that the inventory level is a little bit of the default is a little bit lacking. And grab some of that. Okay, so now we can select this, go to blueprints, defense platform, copy clipboard, keep projection. Yeah, need to rotate it around. So I do have it facing the wrong way, but that's fine. No, it's not that one, it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So, and then we just start welding it up. So the only problem is this thing keeps wanting to build. I really don't want it to till last because I gotta put a block under it first. Gonna need more of that for sure. Oh, this is all out of order. I hate it when it gets out of order. It's better. Make sure I don't have any parts anywhere else in here. Because essentially what I need is more of these as well. So I want to weld up the base of this first. So I want this one. So the battery by itself will actually charge this for a really long time. The only reason I add the solar panels in is that on the rare points where it does get sunlight, it will charge the batteries and basically make sure the batteries stay charged for a while this thing is operating. It's that sustainability aspect. Here. I came up with this because I wanted a defense element for bases because I started building bases without guns with the intent that I could always add them later. Well, then I didn't really want to add them later, you know, because then there was always piping issues and stuff like that. And this was like, well, I can just add the combat area, the defensive things as remote turrets. I started doing that a lot more because then I could stretch these out farther away from the base, and I can actually minimize the amount of impact that a base would get from so I could shoot things down before it even getting to the range of a base. Because having it right next to a base, come on, or you know, having the base itself doing the defense part was creating situations where it was like the base was always ended up getting a certain amount of damage, because, you know, by the time the guns were kicking in, you know, and a thing that was already moving in, it would get, even if the guns could take it out really quickly, it'd still like cause damage to the base. And it's just like, what I really need to do is stretch these guns out a little bit farther out first, so that way I can get some shots on the thing that's coming in and attacking my base way before it actually gets there. Stop welding it.
No energy.
Uh-oh. That's all me. I wasn't paying attention. Come on. All right. What do we got? Just gonna wait a little bit so I can get this solar, at least one of the solar panels done. Shouldn't be too much more of this. At least till I get to the guns, which I'll do later. Alright, so I need this. So that's all of that. Go over here. So that's ready. Stop you. Okay. Right, now we need to get the cargo containers. Now the easiest way I find with that is come over here, go 3. Start with 2. Oh, we first want to get this one that's under here. Get this one here. So I will purposely put myself like in the image so that it doesn't auto spawn. Grab 2 of those. I need more motors. Not 10. Need to grab that other solar panel. Yeah, it's still 2. It's that, and now go get that third. That one, and then I can do this first welder. Then we can do the second welder. Now we're gonna grab this and that. Now what's cool is that because I've got those welders in place, get this one, they will actually help me weld up those. So let's finish this. So all I have to do is like touch these and the welder will do the welding. I just got to put the parts into it. And these just need the metal grids. Oh, that needs that. There we go. It needs tail plate too. So. Right, so now we've to our build planner, we've built the part, we've grabbed the parts for all our guns. So what you can see is this builds really fast. That back, grab that. It's gonna complain a lot because I need more parts than I can carry, but that's fine. Might need to manufacture more. Oh, I need one. problem about these large turrets. They do take a lot of parts. The beauty is,
Low.
oh, gonna have to, let's address that now. Hey, we're right here. The beauty about these turrets is because they're blueprinted, all the settings are already set. So once it's welded, it's done. I just gotta throw ammo into it and we're good. Alright, so now I just gotta throw some ammo into this. So I don't have a whole lot. I'm gonna take 24 of what I've got here and then need this, so I'm gonna grab 10 of those. So for arming this, I have separate cargo here. I'm gonna put 12 of this to start. Oops. Go over to this one. 12. And then I'm gonna go to this one and put this. So now it's all armed. Now, the other thing I'm gonna do, I'm actually going to grab more extra parts. I'm going to grab Gatling gun, 1, 2, and I'm going to start throwing it into this cargo container. I'm also going to throw some other random hardware into this because these welders will actually repair. So this one cargo container is centrally located. It'll feed all these welders. These welders will keep all of these things together. They won't do the solar panel so much and some of this armor, but what they will do is they will keep the guns and their containers operational if they're hit. So it adds to that. So what I'm gonna do is finish. Needs more, just outright needs more computers. So and then I'm going to actually add this one. Add the parts for 2 of those. And that's, oh, I find that like the 2 Gatling guns and the 2 containers covers basically the bulk of all of the parts that's in this thing. So now you have like, didn't grab. Okay, it's down here in the welder. I don't understand why it puts this stuff in the welder though, but there. So now, if anything happens, if these guns get shot, the welder's got parts to pull to weld them back together. Same with the cargo containers. So now I can keep ammo and stuff in them, stuff like that. So one of the next things that we're going to need is we're going to need to refine more, because we need more ammo, but we don't have magnesium for it. I think there should be a magnesium deposit around here somewhere. Oh, cobalt. I found one over here. There it is. This might be a little bit. This is a closer way to get to this. Where'd you go? There you are. GPS, this is Moon MG, so that we can get back to her relatively easy. So now our moon base is actually working on uranium, so we're gonna take this once we hit it back to the ship to be refining, since it's got, granted they're basic refineries, but they'll refine the magnesium and might as well do it there. Take a coon's age anyway, because this stuff does not refine very quickly. Yeah, I probably should have waited for those, but that's fine. Or the ejectors to finish, but it's fine. How bad are we? Not too bad, it's done now. So, turn that off. Again, I say it over and over, but I can't iterate on it enough. Cameras on connectors, man. It blows my mind. Why other people do not do that. That we can unload this because it can't be refined here anyway. Now we've got defense turrets, so we got our butts covered, and it's got ammo, and we're working on more ammo. We can get back to the process of trying to weld up this station, which I'm actually pretty happy about how it turned out. We can work on the finer points of it, like It's funny because I avoid now when I play through saves. I tend to be like, ugh, moon. Why do I need to go to the moon? Such a waste. But now it has like a very definite purpose and I like it. One of the things I do need is to be able to get out of the ship and be able to get to the aviary. I think actually it's through here. I do like those lights there. That's actually pretty cool. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we just need to get busy on the steel construction. Let's actually grab more iron. I think I started a hole somewhere. Doesn't look like it. Think so, looking around here. Oh well, start a new one. Where is my ground? That's it. Make up your mind. So I'll do a couple runs of this, iron, and then we'll do the other materials so we can actually load up the base with all the materials it needs. Actually, I think the first run we're going to do... Say, come on. After this is some ice. We're gonna have to probably set aside the uranium to handle this ore with iron, because we'll want that. Light on since we don't have any lights on here currently. So I'm going to do this is I'm going to put all this here first. I'm going to take this one and I'll put that there, which should pull that. Instead, we'll put this over here. Alright, let's grab some ice. Should be pretty easy, we're surrounded by ice. I'm sure I have some ice on board the ship, but I want to make sure that the base has its own supply. Let's do another load of iron. Like I said, I'll probably do like, what I normally do is like 3 runs of iron, and then I'll grab a little bit of the other stuff. So what I do is that I make sure that when I'm clearing out the stone, that I'm actually putting the stone from the cargo into the drills, which will pull. It just makes it so that because the drills themselves will push by their nature, will push out. They try to fill up cargoes, so they push out the material anyway. So I put it in the drills, which makes it just get to the ejectors quicker. Because you notice that delay one time when it was sitting in the cargo. That's because it's like it thinks a little harder when it comes to taking the ejectors do, and it's trying to take out of the cargo versus the drills. Drills are kind of forcing it down its gullet, where it's the collectors have to hunt for it. One more, and then we'll grab a little bit of nickel, a little bit of silicon, a little bit of cobalt, and that should be pretty good for the base. Have its own set of materials. Let's get in this hole. Carefully. Careful. open this up a little bit. There we go. So from the original, I was talking, like I said, the theme for today is iteration. And when I was, so all the minor mining ships that I've made, one of the key elements that I found, I mean, I've talked about before, which is the aspect of how many ejectors to have and how to arrange them, but also having that backup cam to try to get out of a hole, super helpful. Trying to do it in third person or just kind of guess and just bash the hell out of the back end of your... I've blown up so many like thrusters and just smashed cargo containers and so many things, and this is like, you know, it's a lot easier if you just added a freaking camera to the back end of this. I keep shutting that light off. Force of habit, I guess. There we go. Super mega amount of iron. In fact, how are we doing on... Oh, we're doing great. Throw that in here. Start making some plates. Next thing I want, is to not shift my hand. Grab a little bit of this nickel over here. Go too crazy because we're not going to need a whole lot. That should be good. Said we only need like a half load. Now the hard part's going to actually be, let's grab the, I don't see silicon anywhere, but I'll go ahead and grab this cobalt right here. I know I'm turning this moon landscape into Swiss cheese, but it's fine. Actually, I think there might be some over by the magnesium. That tends to be the way this stuff goes. Ironically, just seeing I went like through nickel and through iron to get to this cobalt. The beauty is I don't end up accidentally taking too much of this cobalt, which takes a long time to refine, because I've already filled my cargo with nickel, so I can just drill this up. One hole does it all. think it's a little more nickel than I originally anticipated for, but it's fine. Okay, let's see if we can. Oop. Now let's hope that we had some silicon over here. There it is. That's what I figured. It was right near the magnesium. Actually, let's take a little bit of this ice. So we don't need a whole lot of silicon either. That's the last of the ore, so I'm gonna turn the ore detector off so I can actually figure out where the hell I'm at. Over here. Yeah, so the realistic skyline, like I said, will make things super dark. Let's do it from here. Already, that's a really good amount of inventory. Ores wise, we'll have to wait for the refinery to kind of catch up, but shouldn't be too bad. And we have already produced a bunch of material. batteries are a little not doing so hot. We're gonna need to get the so we're gonna have to prioritize getting a reactor going on this. Now, did we put one in already and we just need to weld it up, or do we need to place one yet still? Yeah, not seeing one. Okay, so we need to place one. I'm thinking that looks like a hot spot for a sexy reactor. And I like these ones better, and I'm gonna put that port facing up. So got the steel plate here, but I don't have any other parts. So I'm gonna grab the steel plates from here and weld that up. I'm gonna go over here for the other parts. Now the question at hand is, do I have any? Yeah, that's what I thought. Reactor components. Now I do have. Got a bunch of silver. Do I have any gravel? I have gravel. Cool. So I can make 100 of those. Unfortunately, reactor components take a while to make. Won't be any 59 minutes, so. And the upside is that we're already, so while that's making that, let's work on welding stuff up. In particularly this platform. I always like to weld the landing platforms first because my miner can have a tendency to blow holes into the deck of landing pads, so we want to try to get those welded up so they're somewhat protected. Next thing I'll do after that, start with the roof and work our way down. It's important, particularly when we're in a combat mode situation, that we get armor where armor is needed, and tops get shot up first. Not that this armor's going to do a whole lot to protect us. We're counting more on the guns to do most of the protection work because, you know, light armor, even though it's large grid, still kind of paper mache. Thankfully, this design welds pretty efficiently. Other windows. So, you know, once we get silicon being made, we'll have to be making that part up. So yeah, there's a lot of equipment that I've put into this base too, so that's gonna get welded up. Particularly the O2H2 gens, which makes sense considering the fact that, you know, it's a moon base, and I don't know if I put an engine backup into this, but what are we working on? Should always be working on something. Let's do that. I think we got some, but not enough. Okay, so we're making what we can make. So as stuff, as we get through materials.
Energy critical.
Oh, need to charge my suit. Luckily, we placed the ship in a really good spot. I'm trying to decide whether or not I need to switch out the primary material that it's refining. So we're going to need some other stuff. We're going to need some nickel and silicon at some point. Let's do our walk around and see what else we can get. We need those windows. And the door. Oh, there's a block. Again, I said it before, but I really like how well this base turned out, style-wise. I mean, I put it together pretty fast, but I like the layout. It's very compact, very purposeful. other materials coming along nicely. Let's check our reactor components. All done. Yeah. All right, that takes care of our power problem. And we have now an access point for getting parts. I'll switch that in there so we can start getting some. So we're now starting to produce nickel because we got through the iron. We got a nice 50K of iron going. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and do 100 of those. Don't need any power cells, don't need any of that. Oops, I don't want 10, I want 100 and 100. 10 of these I can use, actually 20 of those I can use. Okay, while that's working on that, let's start with this. Use this as much as we can.
Energy low.
Actually, what I'm going to do is grab that as well. I need a chair. I don't have to run back to the ship to charge. I can just do it right here. It's a little bit slower than running up to a med bay, but it works. Alright, we're in here, so working our way out. Actually, I missed those stairs. I think I still have some parts on me. Nope, I'm out. Ah, lights. Let's see if I can weld on this door before it closes up. Actually going to need that door finished so I can go in and out. I'm gonna keep a little bit of this stuff because supposedly I'm done with it, but I might not be. So I'll keep 10 of each, and then I'll move on to the next thing, which is this. And then I did forget that, so need some more of that. Yeah, this is coming along nicely. Not sure why I put these here, but I do know why, but it's a matter of I'm not going to be without changing around the arrangement a little bit because I still need to get a we'll see it once we're done, but I still need to get a survival kit in here somewhere. And an air vent, I believe. It's mostly coming down to just the glass, which kind of more waiting for the refinery to get through some of the silicon. See where the refinery is at. Let's get that in there. I think we were going to make it through all the windows, but I was trying to get it through as many as I could. Do need more of those displays. Where are they? Yeah, my unbelievable desire to have lots of windows does put me in a position where I do actually, and I think it, well, one, I'm a big fan of natural light, just in general, but also it's because the fact is that I don't run into too much too much need for silicon, so I kind of try to maximize the amount of structure I can build using it so that I can actually utilize it. Because like if you're just drilling even just straight stone, you know, and in stone you get a certain amount of silicon out of it. These big windows are the ones that usually are pretty killer. Eat up a lot of it, like 150. And windows, actually, the glass takes up a lot of silicon because it takes 5 ingots to make one thing of glass. Yeah, definitely gonna have to move some stuff around here because I'm not able to get a survival kit in here pretty easily. Plus I need a vent. some construction. Let's do that. That should be it in here. It's just that one thing. Other than doing some kind of layout stuff to get the stuff I need. Let's get them. Alright, we're gonna have to head up here because we're not gonna be able to get a vent in time to satisfy the O2 problem that my suit is having. Okay, now that's done. We have a pretty good layout, but the problem we have now is that, so we put in these conveyor junctions. But the location of our kind of breakfast nook thing and that light does not make it easy to solve this problem. So what we can do is move them. I'd say probably right about there. I can do. Like, no. Oh, I know why, because it's against that thing. Because I can't place on to these blocks here. What I can do is that there, and that there. Now we can do let's see. Yeah, we'll go with that. So we don't have any silver, and I don't really want to drill for it right now. We should eventually, though. What I can do is just do those for right now. Ooh. one other thing that I want to add, which is, can I? Because I'm not sure I added that mod. I think I was thinking of adding this mod, but I don't think I added. Actually did it. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Never mind. What I can do is add that. Yeah, okay, add it back there. Question is, where can I move this light? Actually, I think I can do something a little unorthodox. There we go. We are in an oxygenated environment, and I noticed then that this thing is not quite flat, but oh well. Probably got crooked from when I did the copy paste. It doesn't always paste. If I'm not paying attention, it won't paste flat with gravity or parallel with gravity. All right, this is gonna be epic moon base. Actually, I'm gonna just call it moon base refinery. There we go. Call it the EMB for short. I'll keep that in there. Do all of our unsavory labeling. what do we want in here? Just throw some pictures in here. Some add that, some add that, and that. There, now we got some TV. Got something to watch while we're charging. Alright, now we need to do some light work. By light work, I mean work on the lights. I'm gonna go with, actually, I'll leave that one. That's close to house lighting. The next thing that we need to add, which is going to be a little bit of testing for even me, because I haven't added one in forever, is a control panel running a control block running, programmable block running a script that controls the solar array. So I don't know if I've been, no. So I think I've gone through scripts before because I think I installed the door script on one of the other bases, but, or yeah, on Earth. So the drill is pretty much the same. We gotta go find our script first. It's this one, is solar alignment. So I actually have to read the instructions. Okay, so I need to change it to solar. Let's see, create a group with your solar related rotors and hinges named solar rotors. Check code, okay. So I'm gonna copy that, go okay, and then I need these and call that. I better check to make sure that they're not Locked. Not locked. Okay. So it's definitely moving it. Slowly. Oh, I missed that. Didn't realize I put a glass window there. Alright, well, it's looking like it's doing a pretty good job. It looks like it's raising it up now. And it's still turning it. Well, that's working. We can now do some more moving of cargo. And also check the state of magnesium refinement. Oh, I have a full size. I thought I only had like a small refinery on here. Well, color me surprised. I don't know where I got the idea that I only had basic refineries on there. Alright, so... we're gonna rebillet this to that. make sure we get all the magnesium out of here first. Just FYI, I am actually surprised at how much actual uranium I was able to pull. I didn't make too many trips on that. I mean, there's still some left in that deposit. So we might get some speed modules going early. So I'll keep that refinery going on that stuff, but we will continue to offload this material to the other location. I'll also grab that platinum and move it. So this will basically, once we get it set up, we can do whatever we want, and we'll just leave this to process stuff while we're gone. We can move on to other things. Base hauling. I probably would have spent less time actually like building a large platform for this and with connector than it would be to move this stuff back and forth, but So one of the other things that I said was at the end of last stream was I was thinking about like might need to build another ship. And I couldn't really decide on what I was gonna do, but considering the fact that I turned combat on, I think that building a fighter might be in the works. In the cards, as it were. Did I? No. Oh, that's right. I'm filling. Doing this so much, I'm losing track of where I'm at. Sometimes is I should only have to do this one more time. But I do want to go grab some silver from somewhere. I've got it around here. Get some speed modules going on this as well. I don't know if my reactor, just single reactor, is going to be able to handle 2 reactors or 2 refineries fully loaded with speed modules. So what I might do is kind of a 3-in-1, which is something I normally do. Which is normally 3 speed and 1 power efficiency. Knocks it down a little bit. Let's see how it goes. Okay, that should be it on that. All right, we'll start with the power efficiency. Do that, we're gonna need some of these. I already have some. Don't look like it though. I say no is because it's going to be the odd man out. And I want to, if I decided I do want to change it out, I want to have it in a spot where I can reach it, theoretically. Gotta tell you though, I'm a big fan of the 2 assembler setups. Saves like, I mean, it's essentially the equivalent of 1 assembler and a speed module, but it makes it so like if you're running an inventory manager, it makes it a lot better because it can also do things like take down parts at the same time that it's building parts. So. Not that I'll ever want to take out one of these, but just in case. It's also I'm putting them in an inconvenient spot. Like, if I really need that extra spot, I'll have it available. Now let's start adding our speed modules. Well. Yeah, let's check batteries fully charged. How is our reactor doing? Oh, it's fine. It's not maxed out, so we'll put in the last 2. Oh yeah, 4.4 out of 15. Not too shabby. And we got 37 and plus we got some more being made now. What's our rate of consumption on this? Oh, like one, maybe a full gram per second. So that's not too bad. Oh yeah, we're doing just fine. So how's our refinery? Are they booking now? Going through the magnesium pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be like mega fast. All right, let's see. What we want is, how much do we have? So, okay, I'm making like 5 or 50. Alright, that's all set up the way that I want. Alright, so, well, we're well past midnight, so let's call it a day on this. We were able to get through a lot of stuff. We got the base welded up. We got ores. We want to get some more silver at some point. Alright, so yeah. We're gonna want to mine some silver. We're gonna want to, like I said, we're talking about making another ship, probably a fighter, kind of defend ourselves against oncoming marauders, and give ourselves time for those refineries to kind of chew through stuff, and then we'll move on to something else. Probably Mars. I'm thinking, yeah, our next step is Mars, and showing that off, and do actually a little rover testing, which I wanted to do anyways. I have a mining rover that I'd like to test. I have tested it on Earth, but I want to see how it reacts on Mars, because the Mars gravity is a little bit different, and I want to see how that impacts. So that might be where we go with things next week. We'll see how far we get, but until then, if I don't talk to you before, I'll see you all next week. Thanks. Good night.